Um, so I don't have a slide presentation, so let's see how I do on retaining your attention, especially after lunch. But I thought I would put up the website up there for some color. Right. So, what I'm going to be speaking to is a little initiative that a few of us took back in 2016 and which has thankfully survived, which is basically a platform called the South Asia Collective of researchers, human rights activists, defenders, basically NGOs from across the region, trying to come together on a platform for protecting, promoting human rights and minority rights particularly. So it's been close to 7 to 8 years. We've done a little bit of work, and what I'm hoping to present to you is a little bit of what we have tried to do. The little, the impact. There's very little impact if one talks of concrete impact, but there has been a little. But I was hoping that I would use this opportunity especially to share our lessons, a bit of reflection, and maybe get some ideas from all of you, and what a wonderful place this is, and a collective, to get some feedback on that. So I'll try to, like you said, I'll try to keep the presentation short and maybe leave some time for discussion. And if you could kindly just ask me to stop so that we have about at least 15 minutes. Please, if I can request you to do that, thank you. I have a tendency of just rambling on. Right, so I think what I'm going to do is quickly, in the next 7 to 8 minutes, lay out the context for this, a bit of the challenge, the problem that is, that we thought we should try to address, some of the interventions that we've tried, that the platform tries, and in the end, hopefully conclude with some impact and reflections. So firstly, on the context, we're talking of South Asia, literally 20% of humankind. And, but it's not just numbers that pops out at you when you talk of South Asia. It's also that, in a sense, our greatest failures in terms of collective failures, you see manifestations of those there. So extreme poverty alongside extreme wealth, entrenched social hierarchies, could be caste, could be gender, majoritarianism, and a lot of worsening of state structures, the apparatus, state becoming more repressive. We thought at least some parts in the region were more or less repressive, but what we're seeing is a rising of the tide, if you like, across the region where states have become very repressive. So that's the context, and minorities, and minorities, religious, caste, gender, ethnic minorities, they face the brunt of all the whether it is discrimination or it is abuses there. So in a sense, minorities exemplify the worst and victims of everything that is happening in the region. Now, what we've been seeing, especially and probably straight from independence that different countries in the region got from different colonial masters. Rise in nationalist politics, and especially this whole rhetoric of us and them, where particularly minorities are then created, manufactured as these other. It could be foreigners, it could be refugees, it could be the enemy within, etc. Different forms it takes in different countries. And I think a specific fact of the region is also that a majority in one country could be a minority in the other. And that could probably apply not across the region, but definitely to the bigger sort of countries in the region, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And a lot of the politics of nationalism and has worsened because of this fact that minorities in each country are then held as captives to what is happening in other countries. So if there's a violence incident in one, it'll have repercussions in some of the other ones against another community. A lot of the commonality as well is also similar colonial context. I mean, the different categorizations, the partitions created, etc. So all of that also creates some sort of a common context to everything that is happening. Now so that's very broad brush context, but given this reality, there's been attempts to fight back by civil society, but these attempts, because of, again, the nature of the problem, the fact that a lot of this is systemic, but also because of the response from state structures, the fight back by civil society has been very weak, and it's also been very fragmented, again, reflecting the fragmented nature of society as well. And therefore, then it becomes, to the point about solidarities, it becomes really important, and for solidarities across groups and country contexts to be the driver, hopefully, of overcoming the problem that the victim groups, minorities, and especially civil society actors acting on their behalf must use as an approach to doing this. And basically, and that realization of solidarity, of regional solidarity, also emanates from the fact that challenges facing the region are, well, not all, certainly, but a lot of them are transnational, are regional in scope, both in terms of the antecedents, but also in terms of the manifestations, like I sort of alluded to in the beginning, and that require common sort of actions. And that may be a regional solidarity, can also address issues of polarization in society, promote trust, and promote empathy across the region. And also because fighting back requires collectives, requires strength rather than doing it all alone. So that was the basis in which this initiative started, and I think I've run already 5 minutes with that context. But very quickly, in terms of interventions, I mean, what we do, not a great deal, but I think consistently for the last 7-8 years, we have, one thing that we've done well is document abuses across the 7-8 countries, by country, but also in terms of trying to see what patterns there are in terms of regional patterns, what is there to learn across the region from, and especially issues concerning minorities and human rights of minorities. So issues like hate speech, like discrimination, more this condition of refugees, etc. Most recently, we did a detailed documentation on participation of minorities, etc. And we bring out these annual sort of state of minority reports for the entire region, which, and then that gives us an opportunity to try to engage in conversations, both internally as well as with external actors on some of those issues. So it's the information and the data, which probably wasn't available in the form that we are able to generate, which enables these conversations. And those conversations then allow us to educate stakeholders. And the other thing that we're also able to do with the documentation is try to engage multilateral entities, mostly the UN, but also a few other entities through submissions, engaging special rapporteurs, engaging around the UPR process, the usual things that international advocacy requires. So I think those are things that we've been able to do, and consistently for the last 7-8 years. And then so let me quickly come to what I think has been the little impact that we've made, but also maybe identifying where there's a lot of work to be done. And this is just picking up on the point about hard evidence, robust data, robust analysis, not just in terms of a country-specific situation, but also across the region, because like I mentioned, there are lots of regional aspects to the different problems. So I think that is the big difference, but also a greater awareness internationally, I think, in the UN system, but also in some other international fora on the situation of minorities, particularly in South Asia. And a little sort of sensitization within the region among the network and the and different stakeholders on issues that might not necessarily, if I'm sitting in India, that are not issues that confront me daily, but issues in Pakistan, etc., or Bangladesh, or Nepal, or Sri Lanka, as the case may be. And lastly, I think with this thing going on for the last 7 to 8 years, there's also a little network of researchers, of activists, of NGOs that has formed, and which then allows us to then use that as foundation for something more that we want to do. But where I think we are lacking, and which is where I would like some ideas, especially, is that firstly, we've not been able to translate the little results that I laid out to effective change on the ground. So merely documentation or merely having conversation isn't impacting on change for the communities on the ground who are directly affected. And of course, that's a lot of that has to do with the nature of state power and the pushback, the very limited space for civil society, especially as we are seeing now, and of course other things which are more systemic, entrenched social hierarchies and things which haven't changed. And the other thing I think where we have lacked is, and this is perhaps more important than in terms of what we set out to do and what we've been able to achieve, is that we've not been able to deepen the solidarity from what you might call elite civil society organizations, whether it could be national NGOs or experts or the academia, to local actors on the ground. And I think this really speaks to the point about how, the discussions and everything that's been happening, the Congress, the first day and today, but how you build solidarity and how I can see my struggle in yours and you can see your struggle in mine, and what enables that. I think that is the more difficult task that we have not been able to do. So a lot of the little space and the little space for conversations probably now exists, but then the challenge really is how do you bring it down to local levels? And again, because of the very the scale of the region, the country that I come from myself, India itself is a continent-like country with different communities, and each one of them have their own grievances, etc. And how do they then see their struggles in others, and others can see their struggles in the other communities? And I think that's the bigger challenge. And what I look forward to doing is getting some feedback and ideas from all of you on this, but also, of course, questions. Thank you.
Keep your mic. Question, suggestion, So regionally then, like what? Yes, my name is Imran. I represent the Association of Parents of Disappeared Persons from Kashmir. Louder. Is that better? My name is Imran. Sajjad Bhai, in terms of across the region then, in the tracking of these reports, are there certain patterns or trends that you have distilled?
Yes, several. These reports that we bring out every year, they are thematic in nature. So every year we choose one subject. So this year we're looking at education, for instance, and minorities, and how the education system, but how also the provision of education, school syllabi, university syllabi, all of that. And it's its impact in minorities, but also how minorities engage with that. So that's just by way of example, and this is something that we are working on currently for the 2025 report. The previous one, for instance, was on participation of minorities, hate speech, etc. I think, so to answer your question, on each one of these themes, each country, there are specificities in each country, in each region, but then there are also common parallels. I mean, for instance, hate speech. You see a lot of that happening across the region. You see, the key actors, politicians, religious leaders, people with a lot of influence, use of technology, approaches, methods, etc. Similar in some countries, it will be much more grievous in sense of scale, but also the impact it has. In other places, it will be less. But there are lots of common patterns. I think one thing that that I would like to mention here is that across all the different themes, and I'm going back, 4 or 5 different subjects. One is, what is the legal framework for protecting minorities, for the promotion of minorities, and how those laws are actually realized in practice. And there you're seeing a general weakening. I can speak for, especially on India, somewhat the constitutional framework, inclusive, etc., but we are seeing both in terms of the theory itself, that's the law, we are seeing a weakening of that, more discriminatory, etc., but also, but a faster sort of collapse of rule of law and how that law is actually applied across the range of themes, whether it is education, whether it is speech, whether it is human rights, and so there are lots of common patterns.
Thank you. I'm Shahinda. I'm from the Maldives. Just a suggestion. I see a lot of parallels in the Maldives as well. But what I really wanted to share was that some of the weaknesses we see in the Maldives may actually serve as a strength for somebody else, for another minority group, somewhere else in the region, right? For example, religious freedom is something that we cannot even speak about. You speak about it, you get killed, right? On the other hand, I am very sure that the Maldives, the public will be very sympathetic to the Muslim community in India, for example. But I don't think there is enough information moving between the two countries. And for that matter, I don't think there's enough information being shared across the region about any of the struggles. It's too isolated. So my suggestion is to try to network with civil society or academics or whoever it is, because there are people interested in all of these topics, right? So if we can start sharing information with our publics and seek their support, I think it could translate into at least larger advocacy, right? For example, when Modi visited the Maldives, there was quite a bit of social media activity criticizing him for what was happening in India, and also the tensions between Maldives and India, of course. But I think it looks like little things, but I think it can be used for advocacy and to gain support throughout the region. And I really, really don't think there's enough cross-regional information sharing or solidarity for any movement, really. So that is something that we might want to start working on. I also do have a question. What's the status of the Citizenship Act?
Citizenship
now,
Amendment Act,
I was following it, but I would really like to know what the status is now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we keep in the comments and you will answer later?
Yeah, that works better. Yeah.
very quick one. My name is Yasmin. We met the first day. I am a Rohingya, but I'm currently representing Altse in Burma. I'm assuming, or maybe I shouldn't assume, South Asia Collective also covers Southeast Asia, or no?
No.
Okay. But with regards to the Rohingya, and you've touched about, refugees and whatnot, I realize a lot of the hate speech that we're currently documenting have a lot of links to democratic backsliding. So I'm wondering if there was any pattern or trends that were established in your report.
Mhm.
I had a comment as well, or in
Yes.
fact two. One was based on previous experience we had done within FIDH, I think this is 10 years ago, in Pakistan,
Mhm.
when they were holding HRCP, our member organization, in Pakistan, was holding a series of discussions on religious freedom in
Mhm.
Pakistan.
Can I grab your pen?
Please.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
And in that context, they called upon the FIDH to provide some trans-regional solidarity to the event, wherein from Pakistan, the event was being held in Pakistan with all the religious leaders and the different organizations coming in, very interestingly, plus experts from Indonesia and from I don't know which other Asian country, as well as Palestine coming in to bring in different perspectives to the discussion from for the civil society, including on the way within Indonesia they have been confronting similar situations and what was their strategy to counteract. Palestine was very interesting for them. It was very interesting for them to come, as it opened the doors to the authorities, wherein if the leader of a Palestinian human rights organization coming to open a conference or close it, and then organize and participate in a number of discussions with the authorities, including within the Supreme Court and so on and so forth, that opened a number of doors on that occasion as well. So that was one perspective, to also share the fact that within this network, there's a possibility for cross-regional discussions and feedback and support. The second point I wanted to make was on the advocacy that you are carrying and on the levers that you're targeting. You mentioned state representatives, United Nations. We have been gradually developing a number of our advocacy within private companies and investors who claim they are green but are not green, but kind of green. In that context, develop specific policies, including on minorities in the countries within which they are operating. And I think it's quite interesting to see whether and how one may interact with those actors as they have a different type of lever over the local authorities whenever they intervene to ensure a number of rights are protected, notably at work and beyond, within the families, within the workers' families, and so on and so forth. So this is something to keep in mind also in terms of strategies.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah? Thank you. How much? Sorry? 1 minute. Okay. Very quickly, questions. Just from the comments, there are so many barriers. So firstly, absolutely cross-regional. And although we don't include Southeast Asia, but you can't talk of South Asia without talking of Rohingya refugees and Rohingya questions. So actually, our report does have a chapter, separate chapter, just on Myanmar, Burma, and but yeah, there's certainly a lot of scope for cross sort of sub-regional learnings and sharings. I do agree, but I think to Shahinda's point about within the region itself, and totally agree. And I mean, this will be familiar to all of us from the region, but for the benefit of those outside, I mean, there's so many barriers to even communication, right? I mean, very hard borders. Civil society actors have to meet outside of the region to have a conversation. So if you can't even have a conversation, where are we talking of in terms of being able to actually act on those? And I know the time is up. Yeah, I mean, CAA, it is law. It is written into law. It's in practice. Hate speech, I mean, if you want, so in India, there are Rohingya refugees in India. India is probably one of the countries with the most intense anti-Rohingya hate speech anywhere in the world, documented. Also because that's part of the broader anti-Muslim rhetoric and all of that in the country. But also the response of courts, including the highest court in the country, very problematic. They don't even accept that these things should be happening. So there's a lot to discuss just on that point. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much, everybody. I mean, I think the time is up. But thanks especially for your questions and the suggestions.